Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Emilio Ramirez. As you just heard, I have the distinct privilege of serving the city of Riverside as their Director of Development and also Director of its successor agency and Deputy Director for Community Economic Development. Very, very honored and privileged that you have invited me to join you from the Inland Empire to the Golden Empire. It's really cool. I've been asked to share a little bit about the city of Riverside and what we are doing to progress and to develop and to try to attract and retain the younger generation, as well as maintaining all generations that live in Riverside. I have been doing a little bit of research on the area here in Kern County and Bakersfield, trying to get ready for this. Admittedly, I haven't really stopped in Bakersfield. I grew up in a little area of Marysville, north of Sacramento, and I moved to Riverside, and I've driven by here I don't know how many times, and yet haven't really stopped. So I did a little bit of research. I discovered that we're a lot alike. And that's probably why number one and number two ranking. And I'm not about to try to show you or teach you anything that we've done that I'm sure you guys have already figured out. I'm going to show you a little bit about the City of Arts and Innovation, which is what the City of Riverside likes to believe that it is. I think that we are. And I think that leads to why there has been some success in what we're talking about today. I can tell you that we had embarked upon a mission in early 2000 to invest about $1.5 billion in the infrastructure in Riverside, calling it the Riverside Renaissance. And it would be disingenuous of me to tell you that we knew that in 2016 it was going to create a center of millennials in downtown Riverside, or in Riverside as a whole. But we got lucky, and we're very, very happy about that. I can tell you also that from my research, it appears as though millennials are people too, so that's cool. And we've learned along the way in the United States that change is constant, change is always, and generation from generation, we always have to try to adhere to what the new generation is, and millennials happen to be the new generation and taking up a significant part of the population, both in Riverside and in Bakersfield. And I think a lot like what is in Riverside, millennials, like everything else, they're homegrown. And a lot in Bakersfield as well. I'm going to go through a little bit of what we are doing in Riverside, and I think that you're going to see a lot of similarities in what you're doing here and what you're undertaking. I do think that I'm jealous about a couple things that you guys are working on. Your Make Bakersfield Downtown project, I think that's so hot. I wish we could take it. I'm probably going to steal it. So let me show you a little bit about what Riverside is doing. It's quick, I assure you. First a video. Maybe no video.
You have to. Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you. What I love about Riverside is that it's active, it's diverse. There's so many things to do. There are so many choices. But what I like most about Riverside, and something that I learned last night, I got here pretty late and I was having dinner locally, and I was talking to a couple of the waitresses, and we, like you, we're proud of where we come from. We want to stay here. You know, we like it here. And we love the community, we love the neighborhood, we love to engage with one another, we love to experience life together. And I think that that's what brings all generations together, not just millennials, but what we've learned, and I think that we're going to hear again in a little bit from Mr. Jenkins, is that a lot of the today's desires is really the experience, is really the path towards the goal, the path towards the motivation or whatever the cause might be. And I'm going to go through a process to kind of identify things that are occurring in Riverside in a way that continues to allow a significant amount of experiences towards the path to reaching a professional life and family and attaining a cause that we are all after. All the while without having compromised what unique Riverside is. And I think a lot of what you're going to see is a lot what Bakersfield is about as well. You're doing a lot of things, and hopefully you know that there are so many institutions here in Bakersfield that you won't compromise. Bakersfield College, for example, 100+ year institution, 15,000 students. That's amazing. So on screen is images of 4 colleges and universities that exist in Riverside. And in Riverside, the student population is just over 57,000 students. And those are the new labor. That's the new people that are going to have jobs in Riverside. And we are continuing to grow and continuing to make an effort to avoid what we have called many years the brain drain coming out of Riverside, and trying to keep them to stay motivated to stay in Riverside. And while they're in school, they're able to experience so many different things. And those different things are not very far apart, but they're very, very different. And they allow for a significant amount of choice and a lot of diversity. The city of Riverside, as part of that $1.5 billion transformation, renovated the Fox Theater, renovated the Municipal Auditorium. Now they're both being run by Live Nation. And as a demonstration of that choice, of that diversity, that provides the experience that we're all after, whether millennial or me, it's available in Riverside. On one day, about 2 years ago, at the Municipal Auditorium, Social Distortion sold out a show, about 2,200 people there. And the same night, Willie Nelson sold out a show at the Fox Theater. Those two things are about 2 blocks away from each other. Can you imagine the crowd in downtown that night? It was really, really cool. And there was a lot of different people in each of those 2 shows, and just as an identification that I'm in Riverside, I'm here to study, I'm going to school, I'm going to medical school, I'm going to law school, whatever it is, I'm going to remember that show that I went to, and that's valuable to me, that matters. And I think that that's part of the reason that we're starting to put some headway into turning around the brain drain, turning around the attraction. So we do have some work to go. Riverside does have a very successful downtown pedestrian mall. It's not new, it's been there a long, long time. And along the way, it has transformed, and we, thankfully so, me and everybody at City Hall is responsible enough to know that we don't know everything there is to know. We're hopefully not too arrogant to allow the flexibility to occur, including in the downtown pedestrian mall. There is a lot of culture, there's a lot of performing arts that are on the downtown pedestrian mall, but there's still a lot of opportunity, and that opportunity we're still trying to harness. At the bottom Right over that picture on the screen right now is a fairly empty surface parking lot that we are working to build. And we're doing that in order to kind of provide for a higher density in downtown, a greater opportunity for living and gathering and experiencing life together. And that project that we're working on that corner, we're talking about almost a third of an acre. And on that third of an acre, we have been able to amend our downtown specific plan to allow for, within the same development, a mixed income housing project of 44 units and an office along the ground floor and a retail function along the opposite ground floor facing Main Street. We're building everything in a way that is about the experience and about being able to live in the unit and have your entire day, go to the office, and have dinner afterwards at a different project that we are working on, and never having got in your car. Right? Never having left the area that would hopefully end up being a resilient downtown. And that's what we're after. We're after that crowd that can live together, that experience that can be together. And they're young. These pictures are people that live in downtown. I talked to them. I asked them if I can put them on the screen. They were very, very excited. They, much like all of us, are very professional. They're very educated, and they're very ambitious. And they want to, like I do, they want to work and play and have their kids and all of these things all at the same time together. And they want to do that in a way that doesn't limit their opportunity to make decisions as to one day I'm going to do this and the other day I'm going to do that, while at the same time be involved in whatever cause they choose to be involved in. So they move into that apartment complex that we're working on, and they live together in a 2,000 square foot apartment next to a 700 square foot apartment where the rents are compatible but at market based on the different sizes. And there's a mixture, a diversity in the population that lives in there. There's a diversity in the uses that are around it. There's a diversity in the options of those kinds of uses. And after they go to work in downtown, they leave their apartment units, they go work for Best & Krieger, a law firm downtown, and afterwards they have dinner at the mess hall market that we're working on in downtown. It's right next to the Fox Theater. It's about a block and a half away from that project that I just showed you. And it's just a situation where in that mess hall is the mess hall's kind of a play on the historic building, the Hess Mall. And in that building, there is different vendors where the family can get together, and I skipped the slide. The families can get together and one person have a hamburger over here, another person have sushi over here, get your coffee, get your beer, and sit down together and eat the different things all together at the same time. Like the fact that in downtown, you can do that on a weekday. You'll do it, okay. Thank you. Like the fact that in downtown, you can do that on a weekend, on a weekday, and then on a weekend, you get up in the morning and still don't have to leave downtown. Downtown is still diverse and is still resilient. There's still education. There's elementary schools downtown. There's a high school. There's a charter performing arts school. There's a culinary school. Everything is there. And you can get a haircut downtown. You can do your grocery shopping downtown. You can entertain family, friends, buy a book, lounge, do your homework, do whatever you got to do all in downtown. And we know that we are all active, myself included. The millennials, they're active people. They still skateboard, some of them. And in this area, this resilient downtown that we are working on, hopefully they will be able to still not have to get in their car. They can go for a run and go on the skateboard and actually play golf. There's a golf course that's about a mile away, which I walk to all the time. And this happens, and still you have not got into the car, and you're living and surviving within that resilient downtown, that community, which is growing and growing every single day. So after you had your breakfast and after you went on your run and you went to dinner, there is a myriad of festivals that occur in the downtown Pedestrian Mall. I think once a week. I can tell you as a city employee, sometimes I have a hard decision trying to figure out which one I'm going to go to, and I end up going to somewhere else. The Festival of Lights, I don't know if you've heard of the Festival of Lights at the Mission Inn. Just an amazing show. Arts Walk every Thursday, Pub Crawl every Monday, the Lunar Festival, just the list goes on and on and on. And like I mentioned, a significant part of the experience is the path or the journey to the cause. And whatever that cause may be, whether you're a developer or a bureaucrat like me, or a lawyer and that's what you trained and that's what you're good at, you have a family and you're doing all of those things and you're on your way, and along the way you're experiencing the diversity of choice in where to eat and where to entertain and where to play and all of those things. But there are so many causes in Riverside that allows people to be passionate about. And that passion has turned into many, many different sections of Riverside that come together, that are involved politically, that are involved with the city, that are involved with their neighbors. Homefront de Campanza, for example, is a project which is a dream project that I worked on. I can't even believe that I had the opportunity to do so. In Riverside, there's a community, a former military base in Riverside called Arlanza. And in Arlanza, there was this building that was boarded up. It was the former officers club of that military compound, and it was boarded up. The city bought it and converted it, rehabbed it, renovated the historic building, converted it to 30 units of affordable housing for family reunification of homeless veterans that are disabled with kids and children. It just opened, and thank you. It just opened about 2 weeks ago. We're planning the ribbon cutting, but the point in that is that project created this buzz amongst many different people that have so many different passions. People that are passionate about veterans, that are passionate about homelessness, affordable housing, historic preservation, neighborhood. Everybody came out and worked together because of that desire to be involved in the transformation. I often have said that those things are, I think, what causes Riverside to be at that brink of maturing into urbanity. I've said that so many times, I'm kind of tired of saying it. So we're right there, and in that regard, it's like Riverside is its own little millennial. It's active. It's changing. It's every time we think of something new, there's always a lot of initiatives, and everybody in town gets involved. I want to be involved in that. I want to change it to this other thing. The Eastside Hill Zone is an effort that we're working on in the community in Riverside. It's called the Eastside. The community is called the Eastside, and it's the idea that a neighborhood and the livability of that neighborhood is really what causes the perception or the feeling of poverty versus the actual income of the person, of the family, where if the neighborhood lives well and the housing stock is in good condition and then the parks are playable and all of those things, that is what causes a person to live comfortably in the day of the life of that family. It's the livability of their day, versus the income. I know that Riverside and Bakersfield, we have similar demographics. Your median income is a little higher than ours. Our poverty rate is a little higher than yours. But they're right there. Ours is 54,000, yours is 53. Ours is about 19, yours is about 19, ours is about 19.8% poverty. But this has changed that community, that Eastside community, which is a very, very poor area in Riverside, has changed that community and has transformed it because we want to be involved, because of that passion, and because we feel as though we're not too arrogant to believe that the innovation is going to occur and someone else has to do it, and not just necessarily the City Hall. you have any questions, my contact information is on screen. I'd be happy to share with anything, or if you want to come to Riverside, I'm very, very happy to host you anytime that you want to come by. Thank you.